How many people in here play games? All right. And keep your hands up if those games are social, or casual. And then switch if you play console. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to show you is a game that we did. All of our games come out under a banner called Last Legion Games. This is a game we did for Warner Brothers. It was the first cloud-based MMO. And at the time, we were doing it on the iPhone, and I think a lot of the people who were sitting around when we were first discussing it thought, well, this device can't really handle it in polys. So we had to sort of go about looking at a way to architect it in a different way. So we created Watchmen Justice is Coming for the iPhone, and you can have, it basically scales infinitely. And it was to test a technology which I'm going to tell you about in a little bit. But as we were doing that and doing those tests, we did it on AWS, and we found out some amazing things. So the first thing is, in the first 25 days, we had about 21 million GET requests. So these are people basically customizing their avatars and doing different things. And I think two of the most interesting statistics are the last two, Hong Kong and Japan. If you don't know why, the reason would be the game was not even for sale there. But we had a lot of usage. So that said, we had 250,000 battles in 25 days. And then we started thinking, if we want to scale, and we really want to do this in a big way, not just on iPhone, but we started thinking of different things, like a concept of, why do I have to redo my avatar every time I play a game? Why can't that avatar come with me across any game I play, on any consumer electronics device, or if I'm watching TV, or if I'm reading a blog, or whatever I do? I shouldn't have to create a new one every time. But not only that, all my goods should transfer. So going through that, we said we need a new solution, and we do love Amazon, but we wanted to find a different way to basically manage our Amazon experience. And so we had some initial assumptions of what we wanted to do. One, offload all of our load balancing, which we were doing ourselves. We wanted no more manual launching of servers, easier ways to clone servers. We wanted to reduce our human capital costs because it quickly mounts, and we were starting to blur the lines between programming versus IT, etc. So there were lots of issues that we had. We wanted to be cloud agnostic if possible, and we needed to do this on a global scale because we saw that even if we don't sell certain things in certain countries, people definitely play it in those countries. So the first thing is, there were a couple of features that we really like, and now I'm talking about from a game perspective. And we were looking for something that we could build effectively these new versions of games and tools that help. So number one, the fail forward strategy. This is a phenomenal tool that you can use on RightScale. And one of the great things is you can basically sit a programmer down in a chair, and you can effectively stare at them until they figure out exactly what went wrong. So it gives you a timeline, everything you need. Sorry for the programmers in the room. The next thing are RightScale templates. So this is great because one thing that you'll do in games, and we produce multiple games. So as we produce different games, you don't want to re-architect everything you do. That's very wasteful. The server templates allow you to get things up and running really quickly. More importantly, you can reuse these templates in different deployments. We have a complicated architecture because of the way we do things, so we basically run sort of two sets of environments. One, I'm going to show you the Golden Nugget game that we have, and that takes two full development environments and a live environment, and then for the AltEgo tech, that takes another. So we built the game Golden Nugget Vegas Casino. This is very similar to the social games you see out there. I basically can go in, I can create a casino, I can manage the casino. Other people can come in to everybody else's casino. We as AltEgo or Last Legion Games act as the house. And in the house, everybody gambles against us. So it's kind of like if you went to Vegas and you play, but the only difference is you buy chips and you never cash out. So it's a good business model. That said, what is AltEgo? Well, the AltEgo piece is This is the ability to take one avatar on any consumer electronics device. So if you kind of think about where we're heading and what we're doing from a cloud perspective, what we've created is the ability to take your avatar and go in, and we'll be announcing this really formally sort of over the next month, but we already have some publishers, developers working on it. But I can basically take an avatar and I can go into a Facebook game. Then I can go into something like an iPhone game. Then I can turn around and I can take it into a blog. And then I can turn around from there and go into something like a Google TV. So the reason is, well, why would you do that? One is consumers love customization. But number two, if you start to think about behavioral play pattern data, as I'm going in, we're starting to see what consumers purchase from a total perspective. And then not only that, but what do they search for? How do they consume content? What do they use? What are the methodologies they use? So that behavioral data enables developers to make more compelling content, whether you're writing for a blog or whether you're creating a game or whether you're serving up video, for a company like Machinima. So one avatar, any experience. And the second important thing about this is all of your goods. If I buy a sword, I should be able to use that sword in multiple games. That gives goods a higher intrinsic value. Bulletproof vests, I can make different items. I can give them different attributes. I can make them tradable, giftable, rentable. I can do all sorts of different things with them. And that way we give the power to two people. One is we give it to the developers. Number two, we give it to people who need to monetize. If you run a blog right now, it's very hard to make money on a blog. So what we'll be offering are packages that allow these people to go out and immediately make money through novel things like just selling goods on their blog, through these modules, and through search, etc. And so the other thing is, not only do all my goods transport, but all of my money transports. Everything that has to do with my avatar and me personally digitally transports. And pretty soon, Q2 of next year, we'll start to transport outside to real world. But if you kind of look at what's happening in the market, there was a disintermediation of the credit card companies. They kind of lost touch with the consumer. So what do they do now? They offer you, if you're a Sharks fan, a Sharks credit card, something like that. But there's no front end to that. There's no tip of the spear. And so what we are, if you kind of think of us, we're kind of the cartilage that basically ties financial institution to search, to a publisher. One of our partners is 6 Waves. They're the largest publisher for Facebook games in Asia, independent developers, or hardware manufacturers. Because, for instance, if you were Sony, how do I connect my Bravia TV to my PS3, to my PSP, to my Sony Ericsson phone? How do I give the user one integrated experience and allow them to continually monetize that experience? So we have an SDK that'll be going out very soon. It's actually just completed. But we give you the state-of-the-art cloud-based software as a service infrastructure. We like to call it avatar as a service, giving users higher intrinsic value to digital goods and allow you to monetize things in a way that you could never do it before. And more importantly, because the goods have a higher intrinsic value, if you're on the game side of the business, you sort of have to think of your average revenue per paying user, and that's what we really focus on. So RightScale success is, their human capital is absolutely phenomenal. A lot of the things that you're doing and a lot of the companies that you deal with, unless you have a direct relationship with someone, you'll go to probably 5, 6 different call centers. It's a very painful experience. It never works. These guys, they really make things easy. So Krish, Jonathan, Josh Squared, and Hunter, they've really made our use of RightScale easy. We're a little bit different. Unlike some of the companies here, the pre-cloud was never an option for us. For the things that we did, we had to have a cloud to get going. But that said, managing, even to go to some of the existing clouds out there, managing that can be a headache. And so what we look to do is just basically take the path of least resistance. So we chose to go with RightScale. Their human capital's absolutely fantastic. But not only that, the responses to your questions, which is critical, because when something's blowing up and the wheels are coming off the train, you need to fix it fast, because then all of a sudden your customer service just gets flooded with calls or emails or whatever it is, and you hear the little sonar thing going off every 2 seconds. That's not what you want. So quick responses are important. Chris really put in extra work to do things that were above and beyond even what we needed. So that was really great. And like some of the other people that you've heard or will hear in here today, we were able to get our staging really just up and running in less than a day, which is fantastic. So that's it.